Hi, and thanks for joining us in another video from our Aladdin Vivarium series. Today's video will be looking at how we created the city of Agrabah to make up the background of the Vivarium. We're going to make it by layering different tiers of Styrofoam on top of each other to give the 3D effect of some of the towers being in front of the others. To start off with, you need to print out an outline of Agrabah to work from. We chose to go with one from the original animated film as it has a much more pronounced shape that is instantly recognisable and is a lot simpler than the version from the new movie, which makes it much easier to make. We created our own drawing to represent what features we wanted to include that you can download via the link in the description. You can scale the image to whatever size you want for your own tank. We chose to print out our version over 2 pieces of A4 paper in order to match the size of our vivarium. Once you've printed your image and stuck the paper together, then you'll need to cut out the first outline of the whole of Agrabah. This will then be cut out of foam to make your back layer. We decided to use a hot wire cutter to trace around the paper and cut the foam, as it will just melt the foam but won't burn through the paper, making it a quick and easy process. You could just as easily have used a craft knife or X-Acto knife to get the same effect. When you've cut out the first layer, then you need to pick what's going to make up your next layer. Draw onto the paper where you want to cut out to make sure that you don't make any mistakes during the cutting process, and then trim away any unneeded parts of the image. Then lay your image onto the foam and cut around it again to get your next layer. Repeat this process again and again until you have your desired amount of layers. You might want to make your model have more or less layers than we went with, so it's up to you to decide what will make up each of your layers. We also decided to make our foreground really pop, and we used a much thicker piece of foam that rested under the other layers to accomplish this. To make this easier for you, you can make all of the previous layers be flat on the bottom and then just add another layer at the front. Once you have all of your layers, you can use a hot glue gun, PVA or silicone, or whatever adhesive you want to stick them all together. Make sure to push them flat to get rid of any gaps between the layers. Next up, coat the entire thing in a thin layer of concrete. The smoother the better in this case, as you want to try to keep as much detail as possible. Remember, if you make it too thin, you can always add a second layer. When the concrete had set, we coated the entire thing in a layer of epoxy resin to add more strength to it. There's a link to the resin we used in the description. After the resin is cured, you can use a rotary tool or some needle files to bring back or add in any detail that has been lost when you added the concrete and resin. Please make sure to wear eye protection and a respirator mask, as the chips of resin and concrete that fly off are really bad for your eyes and you don't want to be breathing in any of the dust. After you've cleaned off any excess dust, you can use orange spray paint for the ground and a white spray paint for the base colour of the buildings themselves. Then leave time for the spray paint to properly dry before moving on to the rest of the painting process. We started off by using gold enamel paint for the tops of each of the towers. Now gold paints can be a little bit on the thin side, so you might end up needing 2 coats to cover it properly. Next we applied a brown wash over all of the recesses that we carved back in. This will really help make the detail pop. You can be a bit messy here as we'll be covering the flat areas with more paint to neaten things up. We are also going to cover all of the ground with the same brown wash to darken it up and get closer to the final colour that we are looking for. Once all of the wash is dried, we're going to neaten up all of the edges of the buildings by using more white and gold paint to get rid of any of the excess brown from the wash. Then mix together a slightly lighter brown and dry brush it over the ground to make the peaks pop. We're now going to add some of the final paint details, starting with the red banding to go along the tops of the towers and fill in some of the patterns. We're then going to add the blue to the doors and the windows and then paint the steps leading up to the door. With that, the painting is done and a clear coat of plastic dip spray paint will seal the whole thing and make it Vivarium safe. You can use silicone to stick it into Vivarium, or you can use things like double-sided sticky tape for a less permanent solution. Thanks again for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it and you now have an Agrabah of your own to decorate one of your Vivariums. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and if you have any questions or suggestions then please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.